January 31st, 2026, a date that will be etched into the memory of a city and a nation. Moscow wakes not to clarity, but chaos. The familiar cityscape is shrouded in a strange, unsettling haze, as if the city itself is holding its breath. The city is bathed in an unnatural orange glow. Fires rage across the capital, their flames licking at the sky, while thick, acrid smoke chokes the streets and blots out the sun. Sirens wail in the distance, echoing off empty buildings. Military vehicles and emergency responders speed through deserted roads, their urgency a stark contrast to the city's usual morning rhythm, now shattered beyond recognition. Plumes of black smoke rise from multiple points across the skyline, signaling a coordinated attack. This is no accident, but a deliberate assault on the heart of Russia. The air is thick with fear and uncertainty. People move through the streets with scarves pressed to their faces, eyes wide with anxiety, as the facade of Kremlin control begins to crumble. Fires target the very symbols of state power, government buildings and the Kremlin itself, striking at the core of Russia's security and authority. Authorities remain silent, their absence on the airwaves leaving a vacuum that is quickly filled by rumor, speculation, and growing dread among the population. The world watches in shock as live images of burning Moscow fill international news screens, the chaos in the streets mirroring the fractures and uncertainty within the Kremlin itself. For years, the official narrative was one of strength and unity. Now, the flames reveal a city vulnerable, torn by internal conflict, and stripped of its sense of invincibility. The city feels under siege, its streets barricaded and patrolled by tense soldiers. The enemy is unseen, perhaps already inside, and trust is in short supply. As night falls, the Kremlin's windows remain dark and mysterious. No one, not even Russia's leaders, knows what comes next or how this night will end. At 4:37 a.m., an unprecedented order is issued. Evacuate 23,000 key personnel from Moscow. Military, intelligence, nuclear command. The city, still shrouded in darkness, is suddenly thrust into a state of emergency. Sirens echo through empty streets as the government's most vital figures are roused from sleep and told to prepare for immediate departure. They have just 6 hours to leave, shattering all standard protocols. There is no time for careful planning or measured response, only urgency and improvisation. Normally, such an operation would take days. Now, chaos is inevitable. Desks are abandoned mid-task, confidential files left open, and the air is thick with confusion and fear. The leadership's fear is palpable. Waiting is more dangerous than disorder. Every second lost could mean disaster, and hesitation is not an option. The evacuation list includes the highest military and intelligence officials, signaling a total loss of confidence in Moscow's security. The city's power structure is being stripped away in real time. The state is pulling its own brain and nervous system from the city. The exodus is methodical but frantic, as if the city itself is being hollowed out. Most alarming, nuclear command holders are included, a move reserved for existential threats. The presence of these officials signals that the stakes are nothing less than survival. This isn't a retreat, it's a flight from collapse. The urgency is visible in every hurried step, every anxious glance. The message is clear: the center cannot hold. Moscow, once the heart of power, is now a shell. The speed and scale of the evacuation suggest fear of a coup or internal breakdown. Every action is driven by the sense that time is running out. The Kremlin is no longer in control of its own capital. The symbols of authority are abandoned, and the halls of power stand empty. The regime's survival instincts have overridden all else. In these desperate hours, self-preservation eclipses loyalty, order, and even the city itself. Moscow is abandoned to its fate, left behind as its leaders vanish into the dawn, the city's future now uncertain and adrift. As the evacuation unfolds, 17 major fires erupt across Moscow. Deliberate, coordinated, overwhelming. Catastrophic blazes gut key buildings, especially FSB facilities, the heart of Russia's security state. The pattern is unmistakable. This is sabotage, likely by insiders. Then, a powerful explosion rocks the city, just 4 kilometers from the Kremlin. State media scrambles to downplay it, calling it a minor accident. But social media tells a different story. Videos and eyewitnesses contradict the official line. The government's denial only fuels panic and distrust. The gap between reality and propaganda is too wide to bridge. The visible destruction cannot be dismissed. The Kremlin's grip on the narrative is slipping. The explosion becomes a symbol of lost control. Moscow's crisis is now impossible to hide. For ordinary Muscovites, the morning is a nightmare. Skies glow orange, the air reeks of burning chemicals, and military convoys race through the streets. Black sedans with government plates flee elite neighborhoods. Officials are seen escaping in panic. Telegram, the main source of uncensored news, goes dark. Communication collapses. Metro stations close, airports divert flights, and emergency services are overwhelmed. The city is sealed off, rumors spread, and panic grows. People are trapped, unsure where to go or what to believe. The sight of fleeing elites confirms the worst fears. Moscow is a pressure cooker of anxiety, its people prisoners of uncertainty. The Kremlin's response? Predictable and utterly unbelievable. State TV claims it's all a routine anti-terror drill, fires, evacuations, and military presence included. But drills don't involve real destruction or frantic evacuations of top brass. Officials appear stressed, their movements rushed and uncoordinated. The 6-hour evacuation is the clearest sign. This is no exercise. FSB facilities are burning. No drill would destroy the state's own security infrastructure. The government is not orchestrating events, but reacting to them. The official story is a transparent lie, eroding what little trust remains. Citizens turn to rumors and speculation, fueling more panic. The disconnect between propaganda and reality is a strategic blunder. Instead of calming the city, the drill narrative signals total loss of control. The truth is in the smoke, the sirens, and the chaos on the streets. Moscow knows it's not a drill. As chaos reigns, the Kremlin slams shut the gates of the Russian economy. The Moscow exchange suspends all trading, markets frozen, panic contained. ATMs stop dispensing cash, preventing a bank run but trapping citizens without money. The central bank burns through reserves to prop up the ruble, projecting stability as the domestic economy freezes. These drastic controls reveal deep fear of financial collapse. The leadership knows unrest follows economic panic. By freezing markets and cash, the Kremlin buys time, but exposes the system's fragility. Moscow's financial fortress is a desperate defense. Amid the turmoil, a new weapon emerges, one that doesn't fire bullets, but detonates reputations: the Moscow Protocol. Leaked online for the world to see, it exposes the hidden offshore wealth of Russia's elite, shell companies, secret accounts, luxury assets, and the intricate web of financial deception that has shielded the powerful for decades. The timing is surgical, released just as the state's security apparatus is in chaos, amplifying the sense of vulnerability at the very top. The leak is both blackmail and a call to arms, sowing paranoia among the ruling class. Every encrypted message, every whispered conversation, now carries a new weight of suspicion. For those named, it's a direct threat. Sanctions, rivals, and public anger loom. The fear of asset seizures and international scrutiny becomes real overnight. Trust evaporates. Every oligarch wonders who's next. Old alliances fracture as suspicion spreads like wildfire through the corridors of power. The leak shifts the crisis from the streets to the bank accounts of the powerful, forcing desperate moves to hide or recover fortunes. It's a sophisticated attack on the regime's greatest weakness, its own corruption. The digital battlefield is now as important as any physical front. The Moscow Protocol ensures the damage is lasting, even if order returns. The stain of exposure cannot be erased, and the threat of further leaks lingers. The battle for Russia's future is now fought with data and exposure, as journalists and investigators race to uncover the full extent of the rot. The regime's internal cohesion is shattered. Old loyalties are tested, and new fractures appear in the halls of power. The fires may be extinguished, but the elite are at war with themselves. The Moscow Protocol has changed the rules, and no one knows who will survive the fallout. A leaked audio recording from inside the Kremlin reveals panic and despair. Senior officials discuss unsustainable losses and contingency plans. Not drills, but survival. Loyalty is questioned, trust is gone. The simultaneous fires and the Moscow Protocol leak have shattered the regime's unity. Leaders fear collapse, not from outside, but from within. The recording exposes the rot corruption, infighting, and a fragile command structure. The real inferno is inside the Kremlin. Moscow's crisis is a mirror of the regime's unraveling. The most chilling detail: nuclear command personnel are evacuated. This is not standard protocol. It's a last-ditch move against internal collapse. The Kremlin fears a coup, a breakdown that could put nuclear weapons at risk. Evacuating the Cheget holders is a desperate attempt to keep ultimate power out of rival hands. If Moscow isn't safe for the nuclear command, nowhere is. The crisis is now a global security emergency. The world waits, breath held, as Russia's power structure teeters on the edge.